A lot of really interesting stuff going on with Warner Brothers and Discovery and the merger and the cuts and all of the things that they're doing over there to kind of trim out the fat of the company. They want to really get a more lean running company that actually makes money, which is a problem in modern Hollywood because making money doesn't really seem to be a top priority for a lot of these studios. So it's really crazy to see Warner go back to basics and be all about profits, which is a nice, fresh direction to see come to life. So DCEU, which is the DC Comics Extended Universe, this means the comics, the movies, the shows, everything. They've been getting hit real hard because David Zaslav, he knows the value that's there. Because look at Marvel and what they've done with the MCU, at least what they did with the MCU. I'm not a fan of the direction it's been going. It's been awful, full of a lot of bloat. I think Zaslav recognizes that. He's been getting rid of a lot of the bloat that they've been doing with the DCEU and really trying to shape that up as something that people will look forward to when a movie comes out. Now with Marvel, it's really going downhill, and I really wonder how many years are left for the nonstop turnouts where people will just show up for everything there. It's already kind of dying, but Zaslav has been making some cuts. I want to take a look at some stuff and speculate here. DC FanDome, for example, cut. This was a big event. It wasn't actually a fan convention. It was all online, and they really went over their future. Well, their future is up in air, so they've canceled it. They don't really want to talk. I don't know if they've outright said this, but it's pretty obvious that the reason that it's canceled is because, one, it costs money that they don't have. Two, David Zaslav isn't sure on the direction of the DCEU, so it's canceled. Now, one big conversation topic with DC is what's going to happen with the comic division. Now, the comic division is interesting because that makes barely any money. Barely any money. So much so that you have to wonder if it's worth keeping it around because of the cost. It's like an unsure thing. It's like pocket change, peanut money. It's peanuts compared to everything else. And once again, we have another month with the top 50. There's actually a top 200, but we're just going to take a look at the top 50. DC Comics, they are on the top 50 list. However, the problem is, once again, it's nothing but Batman. Batman 126 at number 1. Then at number 5, you have Dark Crisis, which is an event. It's an event book. I haven't read it, so I don't have any thoughts on it. Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, which is an event, but it's an Elseworld story. And then we get back to what you're going to see on this list nonstop, which is Batman characters. Batman, One Bad Day, The Riddler. Batman White Knight presents Red Hood. Poison Ivy, which is a Bat Family character. Flashpoint Beyond, a Flashpoint spinoff starring Thomas Wayne Batman. So that's a Batman book. It's not Bruce Wayne Batman, but it's Thomas Wayne Batman. If you don't know who that is, that's an alternate story. I would suggest actually checking Flashpoint out. It's actually a really good comic. Batman Superworld's Finest, number 6. It's a Batman-Superman team-up book. DC versus Vampires. That's a book where Nightwing is the antagonist and he's king of the vampires. Detective Comics. That's a Batman book. Nightwing at number 38. That's a Batman Bat Family book. Even though it's Nightwing, Nightwing's his own man. It's still Batman umbrella book. Harley Quinn, Bat Family book. Detective Comics, Facsimile Edition. That's a reprint of the original Detective Comics number 27. That is making an old comic. And those are actually really cool. I did buy this issue, actually. I love these facsimile books. Marvel does these too. And they literally print the book as it was when it came out. It has all the ads in it and everything. Those are really cool. But it's embarrassing. In my opinion, it's embarrassing that this makes the top 50 over a current running book. Superman, not on this list at all, by the way. And we'll come back to that. A Batman Killing Time, 6 of 6, number 47. And that's it. The rest of this is all Marvel Comics, and then you have an Image Comics here. But here's the difference between the Image and the DC, or here's the difference between the Marvel and the DC books. The Marvel books are diverse. And what I mean by that is it's not just Batman on here. You have Avengers, Star Wars Darth Vader, Ghost Rider, Axe, Death to the Mutants, X-Men, Moon Knight, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Hulk, Predator, New Fantastic Four, which is interesting because that's actually a really cool team. There was a time where I would jump up and want to go read that, but with the modern writers of today, it's probably shit. But my point is, Marvel books, they actually have a few Image books on here too. But the Marvel books, a bunch of different characters, all the DC characters, nobody cares about them. The only character they care about is Batman. And it's crazy to me that people will eat up all this Batman shit. It is kind of, it's crazy to me. When you go and you look at it really, so this is just comic book shops, by the way, where this data comes from. When you go and you look at something that's taking data from everywhere, they try to hide it by calling it adult graphic novels, which is always funny to me because this is just basically the graphic novel list. But they put manga on this chart basically, but DC Comics can break into it. Here's the Sandman book 1, actually number 8, the Sandman, DC Comics. Because of the Netflix special, it's back up on the charts again. Proving once again that this is not exclusively a manga list. The problem is nobody buys American comic books. Nobody buys them. I mean, I love that they put adult on here, but they have Spy X Family. I mean, these are all ages books for the most part. Chainsaw Man, but I mean, like, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia. I mean, you don't think kids read that? Of course they do. Spy X Family, Dragon Ball Super, Bleach, Chainsaw Man. All this stuff is on here regularly. And the thing I always like to point out is the volume 1s are always on here, which means you have new people jumping in monthly. Comics are in a lot of trouble. And more so lately, the DC Comics stuff has really been just turning it up. I mean, who wants to read this shit? This is actually used to be an interesting book until they aged up John Kent and, pretty much ruined that character thanks to Tom Taylor and Brian Michael Bendis. But they did have a good thing going, and that ship sailed a long time ago. Now they keep bringing it back for like here and there, little short Elseworld stories with these two characters. And now they're using them for their progressive talking points with this back-to-school $10 book, which is funny because kids aren't reading this. Kids aren't reading comic books. So who the hell is this even for? $10 book. And in it, you have a Super Sons short story where they learn about pronouns with a person who identifies as they, them. It's basically the story of the book. All revolves around they, them, and learning about it. Not he, not she, just me. So that's modern American comics right there. Nobody wants to read this stuff. And I'm not just making that up. The numbers don't lie. Nobody wants to read that shit. For the most part, the Batman books are pretty much straightforward. They keep a lot of this other stuff in other books like this one, but it's just crazy to see them fall down so hard. I'm really wondering, like, you know, what's going to happen. We know that they're looking at them. The future of DC Comics is what I'm really interested in, and I don't think it's a bright one. I think you're going to see David Zaslav clean house over here. I don't know when, but I promise you, it's likely coming sooner rather than later. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I do watch parties, play video games over there. They're always fun. Follow me over there and come hang out. Also, make sure you subscribe to YellowFlash, my other channel. There's a link to that in the description as well. I do a lot of live streams over there that I don't do on this channel. Usually smaller and a little bit more personal. So make sure you follow me over there and sign up.